Ladies and gentlemen, weekend 2, aka the final weekend of the Black Ops 6 beta is here, and some things have changed. If you played last weekend in the closed beta, this weekend's the open beta, which means anyone can play. You don't have to have a code, you don't have to pre-order the game, you just have to download it. So in this video, what we're going to be going over is number one, what is new since weekend 1, which there's 10 new levels and a bunch of new things being added. And then the second thing we're going to be going over, timestamps down below, is the things that have changed. So in other words, the patch notes, the things that have actually been updated since weekend 1 of the beta. This is your final chance to play this before the final release of the game, so make sure you get in there if you just want to try it out. It's completely free. You can literally just download it. So without further ado, let's start out by talking about what is new in weekend 2. So let's start out with the new maps in weekend 2. First off, we have Babylon. Now, this is going to be the smallest 6v6 map in the beta. It is tiny. Think shipment, but maybe a little bit bigger, but same sort of spawn, same sort of layout, definitely like a kind of rectangular square layout to this map. I actually got a chance to play this map back at Call of Duty Next, and I brought you some gameplay already from this one, and of course you are seeing that gameplay here as well. I think this is going to be a fan favorite map, but just be warned, spawns, if you're on a bad team, spawns suck on this map. If you're on a good team, spawns are fantastic on this map. I think you understand what I'm getting at. In other words, it's kind of like shipment. The second map, I don't believe that it's coming out today, but later this weekend, is a strike map called Stakeout. Now, this one is supposed to be incredibly tiny and close quarters, taking place in this very small building, which is a stakeout building. I have not played this one yet. This was not available at Call of Duty Next, so this is going to be the first map in the beta that I actually haven't played yet. But again, I don't think it's coming today. I think later this weekend. Now, as of today, the level cap goes up to 30. So first of all, there's more beta rewards, the Truth Lies loading screen, the beta expert animated calling card, and finally the one that probably everyone's going to want. For hitting level 30, you get the Bug Smasher blueprint for the XM4. Speaking of level up, that also means you're going to unlock more things as well. The first thing that we have is at level 22. It's called Interceptors. Now, this is a score streak, and basically it's an anti-score streak score streak. So it passes twice. On its first pass, it's going to eliminate all UAVs and counter UAVs. On its second pass, it's going to destroy any sort of helicopters or anything like that that are called in. And I personally don't like these type of streaks, but the one thing that I will say is it costs 1,250 score, and with Dispatcher, it's going to decrease that, and Bankroll is going to work with that as well. So it's a non-lethal kill streak, so you can earn these pretty quickly, which means people are going to be taking out streaks like no tomorrow, which is going to be a problem because they're also adding another score streak this weekend of the beta at 1,600 score, and that is the Chopper Gunner. Now, this again was in the build that I played at Call of Duty Next, but I personally didn't earn one, but they do seem incredibly powerful. However, I am worried about the Interceptors taking out the Chopper Gunners and taking out the choppers and making those score streaks that are actually pretty hard to earn pretty useless, but we'll have to wait to see exactly how that will work, specifically in this weekend of the beta. We have some new lethals like the Combat Axe, so if you're a throwing knife fan, that will be unlocked at level 24. For tacticals, we have a decoy grenade and a proximity alarm. I'm not sure exactly how that proximity alarm is going to work, but it should alert you when an enemy gets close. They haven't specifically told us what level this one's at, but Sleeper Agent, the field upgrade, this is one we had available to us at Call of Duty Next, and I would assume it's going to be available this weekend as well. This disguises you as an enemy. In other words, the enemy can't see that you're an enemy, so you can quite literally go behind enemy lines, and when you kill someone using that, it'll show up in the kill feed as a blacked out name. So it could be incredibly overpowered. The perk Vigilance counteracts it, so if you're ever running into it, that's what counters it. But yeah, I'm very interested to see how this one plays out. At level 25, we have our first new weapon. It is a marksman rifle. It is called the DM10, and essentially this is like your semi-automatic sniper rifle. It takes like 2 to 3 bullets to kill depending on how far your distance is and things along those lines. I think this weapon could be pretty good depending on the attachments that you are using on it, so it's going to be one I'm going to be interested in leveling up throughout this weekend. The Tonto 22. Now, if you played Black Ops Cold War, this is the Milano. So this is a very slow firing, hard hitting SMG. It's one that I think people will be very interested in over the weekend. It felt really good at Call of Duty Next when we got to use it. So I'm guessing because of the thing that we're talking about next, and that is the PDW getting nerfed and all of those changes, this is going to be a weapon that a lot of people gravitate towards going forward this weekend. That being said, though, this is going to be the last weapon you unlock at level 30 this weekend. There's also going to be a couple new perks available throughout the weekend. For example, Ninja was one that we could use at Call of Duty Next, making you have silent footsteps. Of course, that's pretty powerful. Another one there is forward intel, making your minimap bigger and giving you a better idea of where enemies are. There's going to be a few of these different perks that'll be unlocked through the next 10 levels, and the balance of those we'll have to see how they will work throughout the weekend. Now, moving on to the changes, aka the patch notes. So moving into the patch notes, and just to be clear, this video is coming out before the beta actually goes live. They put the patch notes out early. As soon as the beta is live, I will be streaming over on Twitch, which of course is always linked down in the description of my videos. It is said to be going live at 1 p.m. Eastern Standard Time, but generally speaking goes live like a half hour to an hour before that, so stay tuned to all of the socials to know when that is going live. Now, as far as the patch notes go, first of all, everything that we just talked about is very quickly broken down here. So when you hit level 21, Blast Trap and Scavenger are going to become available. Level 22, Interceptors and Fast Hands, which is a third perk. Level 23, that's the Sleeper Agent field upgrade that we talked about in Cold Blooded. Level 24, we got the Combat Axe and Task Mask. Level 25, we have the DM10 Marksman Rifle. 26, Gunfighter, which is a wild card. And Forward Intel, which is a perk. 27, Gearhead, a perk. 28, Decoy, which is tactical equipment and ninja. Then we have 29, there's your chopper gunner. And finally, level 30 is your Tonto 22. Of course, those are the rewards that we talked about earlier as well. Then we get into the things that have actually changed since weekend 1. So first of all, weapon swap speeds. They say we've seen the feedback about weapon swap speeds and we agree. We'll be reducing the weapon drop times across the board for an overall increase in swap speeds. Players looking for an even quicker swap speed can try out Fast Hands Strategist perk on week 2 of the beta. So I believe that's a perk 3. But across the board, assault rifles, SMGs, shotguns, LMGs, marksman rifles, and pistols and launchers reduced the drop by 50 milliseconds, and then snipers reduced it by 100 milliseconds. Moving on to movement speeds. As far as movement speeds go, I'm not going to read through all of this because I think it's pretty self-explanatory. Basically, they wanted to increase the movement speed slightly in a bunch of different situations. So for example, for assault rifles here, ADS crouch speed has increased from 1.75 meters per second to 1.8 meters per second. So a little bit faster on that front. They said that the SMG's move speed were pretty good, and they're trying to adjust the other classes to be a little bit closer towards that one. So basically every single class got a buff to the movement speed of the various different weapons. However, I've seen 3 technically that did get decreased. First of all, sniper rifles, crouch speed decreased. On top of that, pistols, ADS move speed decreased. And then launchers, crouch speed decreased as well. Other than that, the movement on almost every single class of weapon in most situation has been improved, so a little bit faster the game will move. Weapon adjustments. So here is the big one. The Jackal PDW decreased maximum damage from 29 to 26. Decreased maximum damage range from 15.24 to 14.61. Honestly, it was more so the range that I thought needed to be nerfed, but they did the damage as well. Decreased the near medium damage to 22, as well as the range as well. Decreased the medium damage from 22 to 18. That is a big nerf, as well as the range as well. And decreased the minimum damage from 19 to 15. Essentially, also the headshot multiplier was improved. So the headshot multiplier is now 1.4, not 1.2. Just to be clear, this is not a good weapon anymore. If this weapon is competitive at all, I am going to be shocked. The C9 increased the medium damage from 25.4 to 27.31. This should be a little bit better now. Moving into marksman rifles, disabled burst queuing, which was queuing an additional burst if the fire input was activated at any time during the previous burst or burst cooldown. I don't exactly know what that means. I think it just meant that you were firing an extra burst in an unintended way, but it should, they say, improve control, so recoil should be a little bit better. Next up, moving into spawns. So they've adjusted spawn logics to enable additional valid spawns under certain scenarios. Adjusted spawn logic across several maps with the global goal of reducing a high frequency of spawn flipping. So in other words, spawns should be a little bit stickier, which I do think is a good thing. A little bit more spawn trapping, specifically in team deathmatch, is where the biggest issue was. But they have a big statement on this, so I actually am going to read this. You can skip forward a little bit if you don't want to read this, but Our long-standing definition of bad spawn is any time a player deals or receives damage within 3 seconds of spawning. This is the cornerstone of building the spawn system that does not change regardless of map size or game mode. We use this metric, among others, to track bad spawn rates for Black Ops 6, meaning that if you dealt or received damage within 3 seconds in weekend 1 of the beta, we saw it. Okay, that is great feedback. That is fantastic feedback, but let's continue. As an example, our core mosh pit entry with the highest bad spawn rate in weekend 1 was Domination on Skyline with a 4.2% rate, which means 4.2 out of every 100 spawns saw someone give or receive damage within the first 3-second window. While we are generally happy with our averages, we know that the average also consists of the worst cases. So essentially what they are saying here is that this is the stat that they're using, 3 seconds. They essentially want you to be safe for 3 seconds upon respawning, or the enemy to be safe upon 3 seconds of respawning. So this is going to change how they work. Now, I don't think this is necessarily all good, because what if someone's just running straight out of spawn? There's some situations where that actually will cause spawns to flip even faster. So it's going to be interesting to see how this is changed moving forward. Okay, I also want to be clear that I don't think this is necessarily the best metric to handle spawning, because this doesn't take into account bad spawns in the way that someone spawns so far away that the match just becomes boring or stale or anything like that. So I hope this isn't the only metric that they use here, but it's a good one for gauging how quickly people are dying after they spawn. I just don't think it makes for good spawns just using that metric. Sorry, just editor's note there. Score streaks, RCXD, improved handling and general usability, good because that sucked. Watchdog Helo, increased base health, that's awesome. Hellstorm, increased cluster bomb damage radius. So what they are doing here is not decreasing the amount of score it costs for score streaks, but making them better, which I don't think is a bad thing. Equipment, the thermo grenade, reduced explosive ignition delay. So in other words, they explode faster. Movement, slight increase to the time to enter prone, increase to all mantle speeds, decrease to time before movement is allowed after landing a dive or prone, and slightly increased the dive to prone landing friction. So in other words, faster movement all around. Progression, this is a big one. Weapon XP. Increased awarded XP, which will decrease the amount of time needed to gain weapon levels. The weapon XP speeds observed in weekend 1 were slower than expected, so they've sped them up. We'll have to wait to see this weekend to how fast you can level weapons now. Daily challenges, fixed an issue, blah, blah, blah. General beta rewards earned in match will now appear in after action report. That's somewhat cool. Audio, this is another one that people complain about. Increased player weapon firing audio volume. I don't know how I feel about that. Additional footstep audio adjustments. That's good. Reduced audio levels for impact sounds when taking damage. So that'll actually help you hear footsteps better. Resolved an issue where shotguns could play more than the intended number of hit impact sounds. So a small thing there. Resolved an issue where explosion sound would not play during normal gameplay. Odd one. Resolved an issue where some sounds were not playing during best play. And re-enabled a previously disabled audio occlusion system on PlayStation 5. So in other words, the two big things there are weapon firing volume is now louder and additional footstep audio as well. Best play adjustments were made to that one. UI fixes, settings, some changes there. General, increase the duration of the lobby vote before matches. So longer lobbies, I don't know how I feel about that. Reduce the amount of camera motion in the dynamic death cam. Then stability, improve stability on Skyline, training course, and server side stability as well. So that should be better. So that pretty much covers everything. And honestly, a pretty reasonable size patch for just 1 week to another. I am interested to see what they say about the beta moving forward after weekend 2. Interested to see how these spawns feel, these new items in game, what is broken, what is not. That is what we'll be seeing this weekend. And like I said, once the beta is live, click my Twitch down below. We'll be streaming later today. And of course, we'll have videos throughout the weekend. So make sure you're subscribed, have notifications on. Let me know what you're thinking about weekend 2 down in the comments. And as always, thank you so much for watching. And until next time, peace.
We are reaching for the stars, but we're making this too